right then. Jumping right in. Back for round two because our first round of videos didn't work very well.
No, it didn't.
For whatever reason. It's been a while since you were in here. About how long ago were you in here talking with me?
I think this was like maybe 3 or 4 months ago. When
Yeah.
you first got started with the videos.
Yeah, when I first like restarted in this location for sure.
Yeah.
I think you were probably like the second person to come in. But we're back and hopefully they see the light of day. But I just got done editing a bunch, so I'm hoping to have these out in January. So
Keep it lookout.
this will keep me accountable. Anyways, Nicole, you
Yes.
are our tax expert in B&I Cumulus.
Yes, I am.
With Get Your Max Tax Services.
Yes.
I recently seen that you guys had a holiday party and you got some awards. What awards did you get?
So I got 2 awards actually. So I got top preparer, which means that I filed the most files in my office. And then I got top office because I run my tax office. So my tax office did the most files out of all of our affiliations. So
About how many is that?
a little over 1,000.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So she's saying she's 1 out of 1,000. Like she's upper echelon.
Yeah, I'm not. You're saying that. I won't say it, but I'm pretty good.
I think the numbers say that.
Yeah, no, it was a great tax season, a blessing for sure, and it was cool to see how much I grew this year.
Yeah, and I think there's even more growth. I'm glad you brought that word up. I think there's even more growth for you because we've discussed this quite a bit. Is you're prepping and preparing as you are a preparer for your biggest tax season yet, correct? And
Yeah.
you brought in a lot of business out of the networking connections you've made over the last like 6 months.
Yeah, I think that after tax season, this past tax season, 2022, which was in April, I really dived into networking, especially into the community. B&I Cumulus is definitely that #1 networking. But just the growing relationships that I have in B&I and the different businesses that I've been able to get to know, definitely a lot of growth is going to come from that.
I agree. I definitely agree. On that note, with more growth, where would you like to see B&I Cumulus get to, and where would it? I mean, it's already helping your business, but how do those two things correlate?
I feel like the more businesses that we have in the room, the more entrepreneurs, business owners, the more of like knowledge that we get to each other.
Yeah.
You know? So for me, we have about 23 businesses in the
Yeah.
room on a weekly basis, and I've learned so much about different businesses. And with these businesses, it's been able for me to expand my network, not just for myself, but for my clients.
I would love to see us at 30 by. We can get to 30 by like February. That would be fantastic. I know our original goal was 30 by December, but you know, people come in, people come out. It is what it is. You know, that's just the way business works. You know that with managing people, you'll get people that come in and produce. You'll get people that come in and either they were up to the challenge or something else came along. You just never know. But diving back into your business, as you said, you are preparing up for the biggest tax season. Let's talk a little bit about that real quick. So give some advice to the newbies on what they need to be thinking about going into this tax season.
Newbies as new tax preparers or clients that have like new businesses?
Clientele, because you stand up all the time and you always say, your famous line is, if you think tax preparing and hiring a tax expert is expensive, wait until you find out how expensive it is if you do not. So for those that don't or have never hired a tax preparer, give a little bit of insight as to what makes that so expensive.
So I have had clients that have come to me that have their own businesses and they say, for years I've been doing my own taxes. And then they'll come to me and realize that in the past years, they missed out on so many things, so many expenses, write-offs, credits, things that they could have qualified for. And honestly, I always say this, it doesn't hurt to go to somebody and ask questions. Right? It doesn't hurt to have knowledge. For me, for instance, like my quotes are free. When I talk to people and I come across people and I say, they're like, oh, but I don't want to pay for a tax preparer. I do it by myself. My first response is, how do you know that you're doing your taxes correctly if you're not a professional in taxes. I know that me getting into the tax business prior to doing taxes, I was always that person who did taxes online for free. And when I started doing taxes, I was like, wow, there's so much stuff that I missed out on that I could have possibly gotten more, and just things that I didn't know about because obviously that wasn't my profession. So to my newcomers, talk to a tax professional. Ask the questions. No question is like too dumb. No question is too stupid. You really have to get out there and make sure that what you're doing is right, because the IRS, what they do is they wait. They wait. They give you a couple of years, okay? And they give you a couple of years to keep messing up, and then that third or fourth year, they're going to audit you. And then when they audit you, they want that money that they gave you. If you got a refund, they want all the money back. Then they charge you penalties, they charge you interest, and all of that is more expensive than paying me to do your taxes correctly.
Yeah, so the cost of not doing it correctly is much higher than the cost of doing it correctly.
Exactly.
And that is your point for sure. That's for the general population. What about your small businesses, especially those that are just starting out? We have a lot of new businesses in BNI Cumulus, so unless you're surrounded by someone who is an entrepreneur, if you have a mentor, if you've been around family that owns businesses, you really know nothing about taxes. No. So what is a little bit of advice you would give those people? I mean, obviously, come see you.
Yeah, well, definitely come see me. But definitely, small business owners, start tracking your expenses. It's really as simple as that. Track what you spend. Even if that means, like, for some people, I mean, I've had somebody come to me and she literally has a notebook and she had all her receipts in there and she would write down, like, because she was starting up a business and she wanted to make sure that she was keeping track on what she spent. And then I have people that they'll come to me, brand new business, and I say, okay, so, where are your expenses? What did you spend money on this year starting your business? And they'll look at me and they say, I don't know. So then you can't really calculate the profit that you're making from your business. You're not going to be able to calculate where you need to grow, where you need to cut expenses. And all of those things at the end of the day help you have a lower tax liability so that you're not giving so much back to the IRS.
Yeah. I mean, Uncle Sam's going to get his. But,
he will. They always get theirs.
Yeah,
so.
You can't, like we talked about earlier, you can't escape death or taxes. So, I mean, they're going to get theirs.
Cannot escape it. Yeah, but we can't escape it, but we can make sure that we do it the correct way.
The correct way, the right way. And honestly, like you said, it saves a lot of money. Yeah. Like if you do it the right way. There's nothing wrong with doing things the right way, folks.
People try to cut corners, and then when they cut corners, you'll eventually talk to me. Yeah, they do. Point. They always come back.
So you said something earlier. I'm going to liken it to my business as well, because you touched on when I said, it's much higher. It's much more costly to not hire a tax professional. And you were talking about that, of all the things you didn't know. Like, it's the same thing in my industry. When people want to sell their homes themselves, there's so many things they don't know. Because I do this full time. I have an appointment after this. I've been studying for 2-3 hours. Like, most people are not going to take time out of their day to go study for 2 to 3 hours to make sure their house is priced correctly. Even if they did, they still don't have the wherewithal of marketing. They don't have all of the resources like a tax preparer with taxes would have, or a realtor like myself would have for selling a house. So they don't like comprehend or understand how high the deck is stacked against them, essentially.
It's true. I mean, I feel like, I bought a house a couple of years ago, and I want to say that going into the market without a realtor is scary, first off, because you don't know what the heck is going on out there. And, knowing you, I've gotten to see the back end work, and, you know that a realtor really cares when he's willing to go above and beyond. And you definitely do that. But to see all the off hours that you work, you know what I mean? Like, people think that it's like, oh, I'm just going to show them a house, or I'm just going to sell their house, and, things are just going to happen. But there's so much back work that takes. Like, people, I had somebody tell me the other day, they were like, our businesses are very like, you have to study and you have to work. And, somebody was like, oh, are you ready for tax season? Like, you're ready to be busy? And I was like, I've been busy. for a couple of months, getting prepped, getting ready, because we don't just wake up one day and be professionals in what we do. You have to really study and put the time into it. So I've definitely seen that too.
Yeah,
you doing that in real estate.
And I'm a numbers guy. You know that. That's why I run the numbers in our chapter. So that's what's important to me. Like I've sat down in front of people and I'm just completely reasonable and logical with them. And I'm like, I know what you want. I know what your emotional attachment to the home is. I literally turn business away because the numbers they're just not there. And I see a lot of people list homes that are astronomically high. I just think a lot of things, and I'm sure you get it in your industry too, a lot of things are just a disservice to your customer and your client. Not putting in the work to know what's best for them, not asking the questions of what's best for them.
That's a big one. Asking the right questions. I feel like in whatever business, whatever career that you do, whatever profession you have, you really have to know the right questions to ask people, because just like like you're gonna ask somebody, how many bedrooms do you need? Or
I just did this with you at our lunch the other night, because you had mentioned one thing and
said I wanted land,
and she had no idea what she actually wanted.
No,
until I started asking her.
Exactly. Then I was like, wait, what? I'm confused. Like, this is way too much, and this is why I'm use you. Yeah. So, but that's sometimes people come to me, they don't know what the heck they're talking about with their taxes. I actually had somebody come to me, and she got her taxes filed by. This is when you have to be careful who you go to, because you can't just go to anybody. This person went to a tax professional.
Wait, say that again.
You cannot just go to anybody.
And how many?
Do your research, people.
Not just that, but how many people not as much in your industry, because I don't talk with people and they're just like, oh, you're good. I know a tax preparer. But in my industry, everyone knows a realtor.
Everybody knows a realtor. I mean, you could throw a stick and hit one.
And I hate to break this to you guys before she gets into this, but I just want you to know, and I've told this to my customers, is if you own a home, guess what? You are in real estate, so you need to be educated with what that means.
It's true. There's so many things that I didn't know about real estate until I bought a house. And I was like, wait, hold up. Like, you have to do these things? Like, you have to, no, it's definitely, knowledge is power. I will say that all the time. Being knowledgeable, like having too much knowledge is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
You're always.
But your story, because you've said this story before about, is this your homegirl that needs help because she didn't listen to you in the first place?
So rough. So I had a friend. I had a friend come to me and she's like, hey, I need my taxes done. I need to, she has a small business. And I said, okay, let's get your taxes done. For whatever reason, she just ended up filing on somewhere online.
I mean, it's not for whatever reason.
She thought she could do it herself.
Well, usually it's two things, right? And I'm bringing this up because I want people to realize what they're doing.
Yes,
that's getting in the way of talking with an actual tax professional.
That's true.
So the reason being is it's not just that she thought she could do it herself. More than likely, it was to save the money.
Oh yeah, she didn't want to pay me. I mean, she didn't want once somebody hears, hey, this is how much my services are. Especially for small business owners, if you guys don't keep your books all year long, don't be surprised when a tax preparer says you got to pay. So now, some more than others, but this person didn't want to pay. They wanted to go ahead and save the money, do their taxes on their own. They did that. They did exactly that. They did their taxes on their own. And then she realized that she forgot something on her taxes, after she already submitted them. And then she went and submitted an amendment right after she had submitted her taxes. Mind you, not knowing what she was doing, what amendment was, what anything was, right? So this was back in the beginning of the year. Now, let's fast forward to, I think it was like September, October, around there. I get a call from her, and she's like, hey, you're going to kill me, but I need help. And I said, what do you need help with? Like, what's going on? And she explained to me the situation. Mind you, she did come first to me and ask me about my services. But then she went ahead and did them anyways.
So you knew she needed help
yes.
way before she did, obviously.
Yes.
But there's, the old adage, she's not going to know she needs your help until she actually needs your help.
Until she needs my help. Yeah. And now she needs my help. She's willing to pay for my help. And now we got to fix her issues, redo her taxes. And she'll definitely be a client for me for the next year because now she knows that she needs me. But at the end of the day, we could have avoided this
Avoided
whole
that whole thing.
situation
Yeah.
if, again, you just, it's more expensive to not hire a tax preparer than to hire one.
Yeah.
So now she realizes, but sometimes, like, I don't want to say like children, but sometimes we gotta fall.
And well,
back up.
it's the same thing as like I say in my business is I don't like to use the word cost. I mean, it is going to cost you in the long run, but it's an investment up front.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's an investment, and you definitely have to invest in your business. If you're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, you're trying to start a business, invest in your business. Don't be like trying to go around the what is it? What do they say?
Beat around the
Beat
bush.
around the bush. Don't beat around the bush. Just do what you got to do, because eventually the things that you're trying to cut cost on, you're gonna have to come back, and it may be worse.
Yeah.
So don't do it.
All right. I do have some questions for you.
Okay.
And I've never asked these questions to anyone, but they're questions that I'm really interested in
I'm really worried.
for business owners.
Okay.
So, why are you so passionate about your business?
I think I'm passionate. I know this sounds so cliche.
It's
gonna
cliches are
sound
cliche for a reason.
It is, but I love helping people. And coming into the tax industry, when I started doing taxes, it kind of fell into my lap, right? I was at a point in my life where I needed a career change, got this office tax job, and, became a tax preparer. And then throughout that year, I realized how much people didn't know about taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And not just like small business owners or, like real people, like people with their W-2s, people that have children, families, mothers, and also, small business owners. And I was like, you know what? Like, I just started getting more into what I was doing, if that makes sense. And now I honestly continue doing taxes because it is a headache. Taxes is a headache. During tax season, I am January through April. For those who are close to me know that I go above and beyond for my clients.
Right.
So I give a lot more than your normal tax preparer sometimes.
Well, that's your passion.
Because I'm passionate about it.
It goes hand in hand with your, like, obviously you're sacrificing so much to go above and beyond. You're sacrificing, I'm sure you'd rather be spending that time with your kids. I'm sure you'd rather be doing a lot of other things. So you're suffering, which is passion, for your job.
Yeah, for sure. And I love helping people. And I love when I give somebody, especially a small business owner, when I tell them that I was able to help them save money on taxes, or, or a mom that needed money, and, whatever it may be. Sometimes those little blessings come to people exactly when they need it. And I love being a blessing to people, which is why I'm passionate about what I do.
Yeah, and I think the timing's really not bad either. I mean, they just had all of their holidays, and a lot of people, especially, a lot of people look forward to tax season because it is, when it's a tax break, it's a break. Like some people look at it as like, oh, I can do a lot of this and I can do that and I can do this and that when I get my income tax. And, it's a really good time that people are looking forward to because, some take vacations with that money. Some people catch up with that money. So you're helping people along in that aspect.
It's true. A lot of people do count on tax season. And then, small business owners that you guys end up owing money. To Big Sam, we don't want to talk about it, but
no, hey, don't put it that way, because if you have a really good tax preparer, you probably won't owe a lot.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. That some people are like, especially small business owners. I see it all the time on Facebook, and it's like, oh, I'm not excited about tax season because I'm gonna pay so much, but get yourself a good tax professional, and you're probably not gonna pay as much as you think.
Right.
Or if any at all. So definitely get a good tax professional.
Agreed.
All right.
Second question. Thank you for that answer. I wrote this for BNI, so we'll just roll with the BNI. How do you feel about BNI overall? And not just our chapter, like everything accumulative.
Overall.
Yeah, I mean you can touch on our chapter too, but.
So, I'm gonna be honest. When I got invited to BNI, I had no idea what it was. No idea. I knew that networking groups existed. Because I've been to some before, but I've never have been a part of a group like BNI. So joining BNI, I was a little like, what is this? But once you get involved in BNI, it is so cool. I think it's so cool to see so many people connect throughout the world, really, and like the United States and like Central Florida. Like you have such a bandwidth of people in your reach, and just because you're connected through this one connection of BNI, and you know, we try our best to like vet people and to make sure that the people that are joining these groups are really who they say they are reliable, are trustworthy. So the fact that we take that extra opportunity, like that extra time to like, hey, we're going to sit down with these people, get to know these people before we actually let them be like in our exclusivity, I feel like, you know?
It is kind of like a club. But
It is.
I mean,
It's a cool club.
Yeah,
You know, it's a bunch of people. Honestly, if you're in a BNI and you're giving your time weekly, you're wanting growth. You're wanting growth in your business as a person, as a business owner, and I think that that in itself is powerful about BNI. So I love it. I love it. I didn't think I needed something like BNI for my type of business. You know, because I'm like, oh, I've been good at recruiting people, but it brought so much more than growth to my business, but growth to my character. And
growth to everything, your presentation, your networking skills, your
Yeah.
relationships, your local outreach, your overall outreach. I mean, I think about it this way as well. In my industry, you know, I have couples that are moving to Florida from other states. I know I could just pull up the BNI app, find a realtor in their area, and know they're also well connected.
Yep.
So it gives a lot of security. So that's how you feel about BNI. Why do you feel that way about BNI?
Why do I feel that way about BNI? Because I've seen it for myself. I've been able to help clients that have had, you know, certain like problems come up where I can't myself help them. Mind you, I'm not even into tax season yet, but these are clients that reach out to me for their financial issues throughout the year and things like that. And the fact that I'm able to connect them with people, number one, that is not in my is not my specialty, but is in my bandwidth. I think that is awesome. Number two, I've seen so much growth in my character as as an entrepreneur, as somebody who runs a business, as somebody who works with clientele. I've been able to get little tips and tricks from so many different people. And just as my person, I feel like myself, it's held me accountable to my business, to myself, and to growth. So I think accountability is a big part of BNI, and that's
why I love it.
I love the accountability part. Like you can't be in a room every week with somebody and not be accountable to yourself, to your business, and to everything
You
else.
literally can't, because if you're not, they'll kick you out.
Yeah, exactly. We won't be there. So I think we have a special role too, because we've been able. The video stop. Oh, you can press play and press pause again.
Good, still.
Good. But I think that we've been able to have a cool role in BNI because we get to see the ins and the outs.
Yeah. Well,
versus just being a part.
We also get to essentially cultivate it, right? It's
Yeah.
like we're cultivating it. We're building the culture within it. You know, we're building it at almost everyone in the room, save for 5 people at this point, have got to mold it from the ground up.
Yeah.
You know, so
seriously,
you'll kind of always be a part of it and a part of that structure, which is awesome.
Yeah. It's definitely been a cool experience. An experience I didn't know I needed, but I'm glad
Let me reiterate this question.
Go.
Okay, so if you were to meet all your goals, and all of your needs were taken care of this tax season, would you still show up next tax season, and why?
Okay, so so funny because now I have to repeat my answer. Okay, so yes, I would keep showing up because I feel like if I hit goals that I have for myself this tax season, yes, great, I hit those goals, but I'm probably gonna have more goals for the upcoming tax season. And I feel like I was saying with growth, why not continue growing something that you know is working for you, especially being a part of a group that you know is working for you. Stick to it. Don't run away from what's working. So I think that unless it's a career change and I'm not doing taxes no more, probably wouldn't. But I would probably still keep coming back to BNI if I had a career change. I'm not saying that I'm gonna have a career change, but
we're hypotheticals. But
yeah, just saying.
So, all right. So if your needs were met, you hit all your goals, you pretty much just make new goals. Plus, in your industry is a little different than mine in a sense of, I mean, you're going to see your customers return every year.
Yeah.
I'm
For sure.
more than likely not going to see my customers return every year. I think usually it's like maybe one customer returns or two return every 5 to 10 years.
Okay. Which may make
Unless
sense in real estate.
unless they're referring you out, of course. So that would be different. So jumping into local stuff, because we've asked this question before. Maybe your answers have changed since the last time. I don't know. It's been 4 months. You could go a lot of places and do a lot of things.
Okay.
So locally,
Uh-huh.
local shout outs. Where do you like to go locally? What do you like to do locally?
Okay. Locally. John 316. I don't know if I said that last time.
You
but
did,
John
but
316
shout it out. Yeah.
is definitely one of my favorite coffee shops. It is in downtown St. Cloud. Definitely a cool little spot to just go sit, read, work, and get stuff done. And not just that, I love taking my business meetings there. Always, you know.
I do.
And let's see another local shout out. Just trying to tell me something. No, that's not local. Guys, I have my child in the background. You know, if you guys want to know, I'm a mom that works full time around my children. My gosh, I know I have more local spots. I feel like I just go to John 316 all the time in the loading in downtown.
Loading's good.
Loading is
but
good.
Downtown area is good, and with the revamp, it's even better. Anything else you've... All right, so let's touch on next year. We're at the end of the year.
Yeah.
What are some things you want to do next year that you haven't done? I mean, we could talk goals, that's fine, but like, is there any places you want to travel, or the things you want to do, or the things you want to see? What is 2024 have in store for you, ideally?
Ideally, honestly, it's so funny because I feel like I say this a lot. You make plans and then God laughs. You know, it's like you try to plan things out. Ideally, next year I turn 30, so I would love to travel to Costa Rica. I really want to go to Costa Rica. That's where I'm from. So I haven't been there since I was a teenager. Next year, I would love to buy a property with land.
I'd love for you to do that.
Okay, that is like that's a goal for next year for sure. You know, we bought a townhouse a couple of years ago, and since then our family has grown a little bit, baby and a puppy and
a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot. Have a homeschooled kid. Hopefully next year I'll bring.
You need more land to fill up that. You need to fill up that space.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna fill up the land with space with things.
You know, like a cow.
Yeah.
I would like a cow.
I've heard.
And chickens.
And chickens.
Next year I want chickens.
Okay.
So
all right.
That's
hear
what
you.
next year looks like.
Okay. So all right, Costa Rica and a house with chickens.
Yes.
I really, Nicole, I don't think that's asking too much.
I don't think it's asking for a lot.
That's really not. Like, Santa's got it much harder this year.
Oh yeah, especially with children.
Yeah, of course. So that's not that bad. What about, let's say, 5 years down the road? What do you envision? Where do you want to be? And I bring this up because I'd also like to just give you a quick shout out, because when I first met this girl, and she talked about this a little bit of how she was a little overwhelmed in the B&I room. But now she's out here, like, 2-3 weeks ago, going, and I don't know if we could say this on camera, but I'm going to anyway, going out there and getting paid and getting raises and finally not underestimating her value and her worth and just going after it. So 5 years from now, if you keep doing that, what are you thinking? What do you want?
I want to, it sounds funny, but I want to be a boss. Like, what I mean by that is I want to have my own company, and I want to train up other people to be confident in their profession. And I want to, like, instill what I've learned, if that makes sense. Like, sure. I have a daughter. She looks up to me. She's 11. In 5 years, she's going to be 16 years old, right? So in 5 years, I hope that my kid...
She's already fairly, like, she's going to go through some growth spurts, so she's going to look down on you. Plus, she's going to be 16, so...
Yes, hopefully she'll look down plus up, Yeah. I just hope that in 5 years, I've just been able to continue growing in... Honestly, whatever God has planned for me, I want to have a business, my own business. Just
I
mine.
Definitely think you will.
And I just want to continue, like, going out there and helping people and, being the best in what I do. I always just want to be the best for people. That's all.
That's good. That's good.
And chickens.
Dude, you're gonna have a lot of chickens at this rate.
Thanks.
I would. I used to say a lot to myself that, oh, I just want to be the best that I can be, this, that, and the other. And then I learned that better beats best every time. So that's why I strive every day. I'm just like, well, I just want to do a little better. I just want to do a little better. Even it's one phone call, it's one appointment, it's one piece of advice, it's one video, it's whatever. I learned that a while ago, and that's a philosophy I've applied to my life for sure. And it's a treacherous one, because when you don't feel like you're doing better, then you're just like, oh my God, what am I doing? But
it is true. But you also have to take it like, I say 1% better every day, but you can be 1% better in so many different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your life. I feel like your spiritual, your mental, your physical health, all of those things like combine into obviously overall like who you are. But if you decide to be 1% better in any of those things, I think that, you're growing.
We good, homegirl. So with that, 1-year plan, 5-year plan, things like that, I just like to point out that, BNI wasn't in my plan last year at all.
Oh, mine either.
It just came out of nowhere, and now it's completely in all of my plans going forward.
You weren't planning on being vice president of BNI Cumulus?
No, can't say I was. Not at all. Huh. But when I went to the award ceremony with Wanda, and then they started announcing awards and talking about numbers, Wanda was just like, hey, you drooling over there because they're talking about high producing numbers? And I'm like,
you're like, yes, yes, I am.
Yeah, kind of, a little bit. Like, I want to be, I feel like it's St. Cloud in a nutshell, and you've been here for a long time.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a lot of BNI chapters that are in a lot of different areas that are a little more uppity because they're Orlando based, they do a lot of business. They're in a nicer area, it's they kind of failed to take into account like Windermere was all fish camps 20 years ago. Like, all of what their area is exactly what St. Cloud is now. Yeah. And, we'll get there. And I think BNI Cumulus is a huge part of that, especially with potentially taking local professionals and local businesses and getting them to the level of where they can sprout and grow and become completely professional.
I think we've also been able to, we may not be a huge group yet.
Right.
But we're a powerful group because we've been able to cultivate this, everybody that comes into our BNI group, they leave saying how awesome our group is and how they see the relationships and, that they would love to be a part of that group. And I think that in itself is powerful because it's kind of intimidating sometimes to walk into a room full of business owners, people that you don't know, especially for the first time. And I think that we do such a good effort at making everybody feel welcome and feel like they belong in that room, and people want to grow with us. And I think that's powerful in itself because St. Cloud needs that. Yeah,
absolutely. It needs people that are willing to grow along with it, because, it's inevitable. The change is inevitable. The evolution is inevitable. We'll probably touch on that a little bit. I did have questions, and then I got into that, and I forgot what they were going to be. So actually, let's touch on that, because let's say we have a lot of BNI vets, business veterans in general in our group, and they're kind of the mentors for us. Yeah. Because, when you think about it, we have you, Aaron, Austin, me, Nicole, Jenny. Yeah. We're a very lively, young, hungry group, but the great part about us is we sit in there and we listen to all of these people because we understand evolution. Yep. We understand in 15, 20 years, we're going to be those people because we strive to be those people. Otherwise, we wouldn't be around them. Yeah. We're looking for that influence and that inspiration. And I think that's when I got the news and heard that St. Cloud launched with probably more younger businesses than any other chapter. I was like, good.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
We launched with, I think, more younger businesses than most other chapters, but a lot of other chapters have already been in for 5 to 10 years. Yeah. So those people are already tenured. Yeah. They're not giving up their seats. They've been in BNI for so long, this, that, and the other. So I love that we are a very young and hungry group, and we're all willing to learn and put in the effort.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's powerful in itself because sometimes, usually, younger people nowadays, we don't want to work hard. Sometimes I feel like it's just, I can say it, it's our generation. Like, you know, sometimes people want things handed to them, and you know, you can't expect you can't expect to be in a position that like you want and you strive for if you don't work for it.
Right.
So I feel like it's so cool to see our room. Like you said, we have a couple of young, more than a couple, a few of us are
Yeah.
on the younger side, just now starting our careers, starting our professions. And then we have people that have been in their professions for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, we get to see the growth and the effort from those people, and we get to learn from them. And I think that's powerful.
Yeah, and uh, in talking with those older people, I don't know how many people you've had one-to-ones with that are older and you've sat down and really dug deep into their business and things like that. But it's such a, you know, I guess it's a little cliche to say such a confidence booster. But I can make a double point here, which is when someone like that is tenured in their businesses and been successful looks at you and they're just like essentially look at you with that, oh, I don't worry about you. You know, if you weren't going to succeed, you wouldn't be here. Essentially, is how
Yeah.
they look at you. Like they already know, like you're good.
Yeah.
Because you have the ambition to be in this room.
Yeah.
You talked about it being a little intimidating the first time. Like I walked into Christine's chapter, was my first introduction. There's 50 members in there.
Oh, man.
You know, I never had the thought of I don't belong in this room
Yeah.
per se, because I knew exactly why I was in the room.
Yeah.
Like, and it sounds weird, but I knew I was in the room because I was starting a chapter. Like I knew that I was starting a chapter. There
Yeah.
was there wasn't a no attached to that. Like I'm starting a chapter. That's why I'm in this room. For other people that come into the room, I'm sure it might have hit you in the first couple days too of like, why am I in this room? Oh, probably because I need to be, you know?
Yeah, I remember walking into I think it was when we were at Magnolia.
Mhm.
That was the first time I went. I think it was like,
So,
maybe,
yeah,
I think like 4 or 5 weeks
in its infancy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had 5 members, I think.
Right.
And I walked into this room, and it wasn't a big room. It wasn't a lot
Right.
of people yet. But what I did see were business owners that were striving to be better, and business owners that have been in the business before, have been part of BNI, and they want to be a part of BNI again. And I was like, okay, well, first off, why am I in this room? Right? That was a question that I definitely asked myself.
Mhm.
And number 2 was, do I deserve to be in this room? And very quickly, I said that to somebody. I think it was Bonnie or Wanda. I don't remember which one I was talking to, but they basically told me that like if you got invited into this room, you're here for a reason.
Mhm.
And when I heard that, I was like, you know, I went home and they were like, don't, you know, like cut yourself short because because you've never been in a place like that, right?
Right.
And the second time I went back and it was a whole other perspective, it was like, okay, I'm here for growth.
Right.
And I think that in itself was like kind of like a turning point for me, like realizing that I don't know everything. And there's still a lot to learn. Even if I am good in what I do, I can be better, and I can be
Always.
You know, so this in itself has made me be better, not just in my profession, but as a person. And I've learned a lot, like from other people. So.
Yeah, and for sure, and I've learned so much, even just knowing you. I've learned so much through all of the other members as well. It's like you get to know them, you get to know why they do what they do, you get to know all about their business because those that are passionate about it speak highly about it, you know. And like I'm sure I'll get a huge education in taxes in the coming months because for a while all I knew about taxes is that it rhymed with maxes, and that was pretty much it.
Oh, that's not a good. You got to know more than that. Maxes, I've never heard that before. You're funny.
But I mean, literally. But some people operate with that.
Yeah.
They don't know.
They don't know.
They have no clue.
No clue. And you know, again, knowledge is power. The more you know, the better you're for it.
Yes. Well, I would caveat by saying like knowledge is definitely power. I think the even more power behind it is application of knowledge.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Because
you
I know a
definitely need
lot of
application.
things. I prepare all day for certain things, but if I never apply that knowledge, what good is it?
Yeah. No, I guess that's true. That is true.
Yeah. I think we're good. If we can actually get these videos
No, we're gonna get these
to
videos
each other
up. We're gonna get
and
them up.
edited, these will actually go up. Hopefully, just in time for tax season in
Yeah.
January or something like that.
Tax season is here.
Yeah.
It's here.
And guys, we're going to get to a point where, you know, I actually hire a video editor to get these out like the week of. And I'm not, you know, when I say, oh, this is filmed on right before Christmas,
What was
and then
the
you're not
date?
seeing it till February.
December.
Shut up. Shut up. Nope.
All right.
Nope.
I'm
Stop
not
talking.
saying nothing.
All right. All right. We're gonna leave it there.
Thank you, Dalton. I appreciate you for having
Yeah,
me.
of course.
Always.